We're going to be looking at thunderstorms developing and continuing to move around the St. Louis area. The biggest threat from these storms, well, first of all, there will be some downpours. As long as the storms keep moving, it's not an overly big flood threat. The problem is they're not moving all that fast. But we're also looking at some pretty intense winds with some of these thunderstorms. And we're talking 50, 60, maybe 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. And that's the storm we want to focus on right now, because that's the one out here into portions of Warren County that's causing the problem. So that is where we are at this point. And it's not on that screen, so I'm going to give you this screen. And so basically what you're looking at is the intense thunderstorm continuing to roll out of Warren County right now and push into St. Charles County. Within this area, we've had some winds estimated by the radar of between 60 and 70 miles per hour. And that's moving in towards the New Melly area. Really, the core of that is just off to the west of New Melly. This could impact the area around Defiance here. That's Femme Osage, shows up on the map there. I mean, you're talking out here rural portions of St. Charles County, but this is essentially wine country in St. Charles County. And we're looking at some of these winds in here that are showing up in those brighter greens. That would be indicative of 60, maybe 65 mile per hour winds. And they're pushing in here in the areas just to the west and to the southwest of New Melly. And probably some of this may, I don't know if it's going to actually get into Defiance. It may stay just to your north. But New Melly looks like it would be the largest spot to see some of these stronger storms and stronger winds. It may go just south of you, on the road there as you go Highway T, I think it is, going out of New Melly, going south. Farther north, the storm doesn't have as much wind, but there's still a lot of wind back here along the St. Charles and Warren County lines, and that's pushing into St. Charles County. That's all that bright green that you're seeing there as we scope it out for you. So that's really what the threat is with this particular storm. It's the gusty winds. Of course, yes, there's a lot of lightning in there, and there's a fair amount of rain too, and that's not a good thing, but it's moving off to the east. So the worst of this is where the worst of the winds would be with this particular cell. We're going to drag that off to the east and northeast, and that does include Weldon, Spring, Cottleville, and into the St. Peters area too. That's where we think if these winds hold together, you're going to be looking at the strongest winds, 60 to 70 miles per hour. That's assuming they hold together, but nonetheless, it's a very strong storm. Now, if we go a little farther to the north here, we're finding the area that's working across northern St. Charles County still has some strong winds in it, but not maybe as strong as what we're looking at down approaching New Melly. So probably 50 to 60 mile per hour winds here. That's going to head towards Brussels. Wouldn't want to be on the Brussels ferry at that point. Over towards Grafton, Orchard Farm, and Elsa. Now, the one that's in St. Louis County and flirting with North City right now, these storms here, they've got a warning on them. They've got gusty winds embedded in there. But honestly, when you look at this, they're so discombobulated here. There's a little gusty wind that's just right along Lindbergh there as you go north out of Florissant, approaching Spanish Lake. But you're not looking at the widespread heavier winds because these are more isolated, if you will, showers and thunderstorms. They're not as organized as that one that's back to the west. So, but they are creating some heavy rains in places that we don't need to see it, and that would be along 270 up in North St. Louis County. Really from the airport off to the east, all of our North County communities, which are dealing with the flooding issues and have been, you're getting additional rainfall in those areas as well. And so this could cause some aggravation for that too. Now, speaking of flooding, let's go check this flood advisory out. So that is for portions of Warren County. The areas that just saw the strongest winds out of that storm now have a flood advisory in effect until 6:30. So again, there's St. Louis by the airport, heading into North St. Louis County along 270. You've got the stronger thunderstorms there. We go up to the north. We have another warning here that includes portions of Montgomery and Macoupin County, getting some gusty winds with these storms, potentially looking at some hail in there with those as well, as everything is sliding off towards the east with torrential rain there. This is over farm fields for the most part, and it's much more progressive than the storms around the St. Louis area. So that's good in that it's continuing to move. Now, we're also seeing outflow boundaries being put down all over the place. It's something Gary was pointing out a few minutes ago. From that storm that's been in St. Charles, it's put out a boundary that's going to the north, and then the northern storms have put out boundaries that are coming to the south. So as these boundaries collide in the areas that still are very warm and muggy here north of St. Louis, we can expect additional thunderstorms to develop. Now, the other thing is all the areas south and east of St. Louis still exceptionally steamy and very unstable. So any thunderstorms that do develop have that capability of producing heavy rainfall as well as the gusty winds, and that's going to be the case. There's a look at Lambert. At least we can see the airport now. Couldn't see it a few minutes ago. It was raining so hard. Our severe thunderstorm watch encompasses most of the area until 9 o'clock tonight. In addition to that, we also have a flood watch that's in effect for much of the area. That's as this cold front's pushing through. You see Lambert was up to 97, and then bam, let's reverse those numbers. 79 now, just because of that thunderstorm. I think the peak wind was around 50 miles per hour at the airport. So severe thunderstorm warning continues. Flood watches into tonight. Downpours certainly have the potential to produce flash flooding. You can see some of the latest hourly model guidance indicating that over the next 18 hours, we may see 2 to 4 inches of rain. That's not good news. If we can spread it out over those 18 hours, we might be okay. But I'm afraid that in some cases, that may not be the case, and we may not be able to spread it out over that amount of time, and that poses a problem. So again, just kind of recapping, severe thunderstorm warning for the populated areas, North St. Louis County, generally along and north of 70, and then you've got that storm coming out of St. Charles County, out of Warren County, coming into St. Charles County, just north of the Missouri River. That one, this particular one here that's moving towards New Melly right now and just north of Defiance, is the one that has the strongest winds with it, and those winds appear to be in the area of 50 to 60 miles per hour right now. Some of that brighter green that's just south of New Melly, that's showing up there at 55 miles per hour, 56. So you're going to have some close to, this is very close to the radar site too. So 60, 65 mile per hour winds certainly possible with that, which means, of course, the potential for scattered power outages. New severe thunderstorm warning. This will be for Franklin County. So let's take this on down and just kind of get a glimpse of where we're looking at this. This is going to be for the cell that is kind of on the bottom, the southern part of this cell. Doesn't include St. Louis County just yet, but that's the part that's going from Washington down to Union and then back to the west of St. Clair. Likely seeing winds with this cell too. So as we kind of just plot on the track of this one, you know, they're not moving that fast. We'll see how long they stay together, but this will head towards the Pacific area at about 5 minutes after 4 o'clock. 5 on your side at 4 will be coming your way. That will be streamed on the 5 Plus app, so you can catch that there. There's your storm in Franklin County that prompted the new severe thunderstorm warning there. By the way, that includes about 27,000 people. Damaging threat with these storms, for the most part, is because of wind. So that's going to be the biggest issue that we deal with, I think, with these storms will be wind. And then we're going to switch it up as we go into tonight and really ramp up that flood threat heading into the nighttime hours tonight. So here's a good looking shot of what you see across the region with those storms pressing through. And again, stay inside, away from windows and doors. The flash flood watch, or the flood watch, goes into effect for St. Louis at 7 o'clock, for areas south of St. Louis at 10 o'clock, and it's a 12-hour deal. And once the rain ends by tomorrow morning, then our flood threat will be over, but we'll be watching that overnight too. So a lot to keep track of here. At least we're going to break the heat. And any thunderstorm you're seeing now is doing just that, but that heat's also fueling them. So stay tuned. We'll keep you updated as we head through the afternoon hours.